are we witnessing the end of the all-in-one floorboard modelers? So if you are a digital modeling amp user or multi-effects user, you'll notice a pretty big trend that's been going on in the modeling world, capture world, profile world, whatever it is. We're kind of moving away from things like this, the Helix floor. Even something like the FM9, the Headrush Prime, the Kemper, whether it be the Kemper floor stage, whatever, the Kemper stage, the Kemper toaster with the floorboard. And there's been a really big shift into smaller size things like Nano Cortex, Kemper stage. These things are getting smaller and smaller. HX Stomp XL, Fractal FM3. And now Fractal comes out with the VP4, which is another smaller scale down option. Line 6 has kind of always had the smaller stuff down. The HX Effects has been around forever. But we're kind of starting to see what I think is kind of the future of amp modeling and digital modelers in general, is that we're moving towards this Goldilocks mentality. And I think that this is a cool place to be because for the longest time, I was an exclusive Helix floor user. Helix floor was it for me. I never used anything else but my Helix floor. Loved it. But then I started using my HX Stomp. And then I started using the HX Stomp XL. And it's like, ooh, I can have a couple of my real pedals alongside the digital amp modeling that I already know and love. And that kind of was like my mind blown. Like, how much of the actual full floorboard am I even using? And that kind of pushed me into a direction of scaling things down and getting to play with a bare minimum of effects, getting to play with only a few sounds and focus more on my performance and my showmanship and putting on a show for people to watch rather than having the 28 blocks filled and having every sound dialed into perfection, stuff that nobody cares about. Show business, entertainment. People are there to see a show. They're not there to say, wow, the tone on that song is a little bit off. That sort of thing just doesn't happen. So I think this modular approach, this future here, is allowing everybody, any type of user, to get their feet wet, to have a product that's right for them. And I've always said this about the floor modelers in general when people ask me which one's better. There is none better than the next. It's just whichever one is right for you. And I think that they're just continuing this sentiment because now everything comes in a small package. So if I like the amp profiles of Kemper, but I wish that it had the effects of Fractal, I put these two together. And this is still smaller than the FM9, and it's smaller than a Kemper stage. But now I'm able to combine two things that I really want. Want to go even smaller. Say I really like the Line 6 effects, but I want the Line 6 ecosystem. I want the Line 6 support. I want the routing, all that good stuff, MIDI control, but I like the quad Cortex sounds. Put these two together. And you have even less room. It takes up like nothing on a board relative to a full Helix floor or a full quad Cortex. Quad Cortex is probably about this size. Maybe it's a little bigger. I never put them side by side. I should do that. But you get the routing capabilities. You get all the different stuff that the Line 6 does, the touch capacitance, you get the scribble strips with the quad Cortex amp sounds. And going even smaller, you can go with Tonex. You could just throw this onto any pedal board or not. You could even throw this after your pedal board. So if you're someone who's new to modeling or someone that's new to going direct, you could just literally get this. It's the cheapest of the bunch too. And throw it at the end of your board and call it a day. Put this with a DI box and you're done. So then you also have like now the mid-size guys where you have like the ToneMaster Pro, for example, or the Quad Cortex. You've got the touch screen and you've got kind of a medium size. Wouldn't call this overly large. It's big, but it's not like super big. I mean, look, compared to the old stuff that we used to carry, who's to complain about this? But even the ToneMaster Pro still allows you to have a little bit of extra room. If you go for like a PT2 size board where you get maybe a little bit extra, you could put some of your favorite effects in there. And this is kind of how I've been touring for the past couple of years, is that I've been using my HX Stomp XL, my Northland ODRC, which is my favorite drive pedal. No matter what, there's always something about an analog drive pedal, something that you could just kind of bend over and turn knobs on. That's always going to be something I feel like that's really easy for me to adjust. And that one in particular has a low cut on it that I use to kind of bail me out sometimes, because it's an all-in-one. It's not all-in-one. I mean, it's a always on pedal. So sometimes that low cut, depending if I'm on humbuckers, I could just dial that to low cut more, or I could dial it out if I'm on a telly, and I just always keep that on. So having a tangible pedal is always going to be a great move, in my opinion. And I think the coolest part for me, being somebody that has problems and that has all this stuff, because why am I like this? I don't know. But somebody like me, I get to have the flavors of each one. So I'm fortunate enough to have all of these. But the cool thing is that I get to pick and choose now which parts I like best about which modeler. And I'm able to make a smorgasbord, a little salad of my own with all of the different flavors. So I could have the HX effects with the Nano Cortex, and I could run Cortex and then the Kemper in stereo if I wanted. I think the ultimate thing is that it's going to be up to the users. And I know a lot of people are getting upset with the releases, with what companies are releasing. They're saying, oh, they should have done this, they should have done that. I don't agree. I mean, what the companies are doing, I feel like they're just trying to make their product accessible to a wider audience. The diehard Fractal people aren't going to care about the VP4 because they're diehard Fractal people. They've already got it. If you got an FM9, you don't need the VP4. But if you're somebody that has a Nano Cortex or an HX Stomp or a real pedal board, you are now able to enter into the Fractal ecosystem. Same thing with HX Effects. HX Effects is older, so I'm going to go with the HX Stomp. When the first HX Stomp XL came out, I made a video about this saying how pointless it was. Why would they do this? What are they thinking? Why? Who wants this? I wound up using it for the last 2 years exclusively, but I didn't even realize that I wanted it. So some of these things I feel like you've kind of got to just give a shot to. Even with Nano Cortex, a lot of people were bummed about Nano Cortex because, oh, it only does this, it only does that. It doesn't have a touchscreen. It doesn't have that. We were hoping for the HX Stomp size full quad Cortex, but with half the power. Okay, but you know who wasn't looking for that is somebody that never wanted quad Cortex. Somebody that never thought about buying a quad Cortex, but was interested, but didn't want to go full boat. Somebody that loves their pedal board can now just buy this and be simplified. And then we have the same thing with the Kemper stage. If you're somebody that doesn't want to make captures or doesn't want to make profiles, oh, what about upgrades? We don't need to talk about that. But the Kemper is also a great option. I know my buddy Rod Castro, who was just on my podcast, is a big Kemper guy. He sent me his acoustic preset for this, and it's the best live acoustic sound you'll ever hear in your life. So the Kemper player has its place too. That's another thing. You can now have the accessible modeling stuff for acoustic. If you're someone that plays acoustic, you can have a smaller capture of an acoustic body. Are people doing that yet? I know that they do that with IRs, but I don't know if they're capturing them yet. But you can have these smaller scaled down rigs for fly dates, for acoustic, for whatever it is. And now you have a modular setup that you can always accommodate to whatever needs you have. And for me, that's where it's at. I like the fact that I could say, I need to go practice in my living room. So I'm going to take this USB, plug it into my laptop, put my headphones in, use this little X-Vive wireless. I have no tangling, no cables, and I could just go practice. And it's like, oh, well, I've got to go play an acoustic gig. Okay, well, I'm going to take the Kemper the Kemper player because I've got an XLR out DI box. I could just plug this in and be good to go. Oh, I've got a gig. I've got to control Jessica's electric guitar too. I'm going to take my pedal board that I've got HX Stomp XL and an HX Stomp on. And I don't need to take the full-size floorboards anymore. So I feel like I'm a pretty good use case of this because I use all of these for different things. And I think that that's where the modelers are headed. I think that, again, I said before about the brand loyalists. I don't mean this in a negative way, but the Helix floor people already have everything they need out of their Helix floor. So what's the point of making something similar to the Helix floor that's not Helix floor, you know? they're always going to be cool with the full floorboard. And when the next gen Helix product, next gen Fractal, next gen Kemper, when the full floorboards come out, the full size ones, those users are still going to buy the same thing. They're still going to stick with that. And then maybe there's people like me out there that want to say, I like this, but I also want that, and I want some of this, and I want some of that. That's kind of the crowd. I think that it's probably bigger, I would think, right? I feel like there's more people like that than there is people that are all-in-one floorboard users. So I like that the companies are doing this. I like being able to piecemeal things together, and I like to be able to combine my favorites from each one into smaller and smaller pedal boards. So let me know your thoughts on this. Where do you think the future of the floorboard? Is the floorboard dead? Is the all-in-one floorboard dead? What do you think? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.